Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everybody Matters, our family and friends edition. I'm Jill Catherine, the host of our chat, and very happy to be here today. We do this chat, we offer it once a month, usually on the second Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's usually when we host the chat. Sometimes it changes. But we host this chat and also record it and make it available to you to watch and share with others. And so as you'll see that on our YouTube channel, Everybody Matters, that we have a number of family and friends chats that are available for you to watch. And they really are a repository of educational videos that help families and friends of those struggling with eating disorders and disordered eating, help you to get some information. There's some really basic eating disorder 101 videos that are more about the steps to treatment and how to get a support team and why that's valuable. So we do have a number of those videos that are more of the nuts and bolts of sort of the basic steps in helping someone who's struggling with this disease. And where we are today in our video collection is really offering deeper insights into what it's like for, generally what it's like for those who are struggling with this disease and in recovery, and giving you sort of our inner experience of that, and so you can understand and get some insights into then how you can support your loved one through this journey. And it's a very can be a very isolating and difficult disease to go through and to heal from and recover, but it can be tremendously rewarding and liberating for someone who gets the support and the treatment, and to find their health and recovery through it. And it can be incredibly liberating for family and friends too, who are willing to take the journey with them. And that's so much of what we talk about now in our videos is what it can mean for you to be on the journey with them. And how it not only is an opportunity for you to offer support, but how they could be supporting you through through a process of just self-love and self-worth. And because those are two real deep roots of eating disorders and disordered eating is building a relationship of self-love and self-worth within oneself. That feeling love for oneself and worth and acceptance is coming from inside. Those of us who struggle with this disease, and I will speak in broad terms, right? Because this disease is very unique. Everyone comes to it for whatever reasons in their lives, and we all have unique stories. But what I'll do is speak in broad terms of some of the general characteristics and challenges of those who are in this. More universal principles, but again, everyone is unique. So universally, there's those of us struggling with this disease are finding a sense of self-love and self-worth outside of ourselves. We're disconnected. We don't feel it's not from the inside. We get it through however we've gotten it in the past, outside of ourselves, and measuring up to certain standards of success and beauty and body and being, everything sort of externally. And so there's not a coincidence why then the disease becomes about, there's such a body component. It's because our sense of self and worth and love and value is external. Is we look for it outside of us. And so that disconnect, instead of finding it within, looking for it outside of us externally, puts this emphasis, in the physical, on the body that's external. So we really, in the healing of an eating disorder and disordered eating, is a healing journey that happens in the inner body. That inner body, the inner you that lives inside of you, that lives inside of your loved one. We all have this inner body, our person that lives within this body, who we are, dependent on what we look like, our shape or size. I mean, that can change. You know, bodies can change all the time. People are born into the world with our body a certain way, and things can happen, and your body can look differently in a variety of ways depending on what happens to you in life. So our body is not an indication of who we are. It is not the way for us to find love and worth. Literally, our body is just our vehicle to be here, to be alive in the world. It's the inner us that's really who we are. So that healing journey is really about discovering that inner you and building a relationship, a long-term, day-to-day, moment-to-moment relationship with that inner you. And that inner you is then able to deal with life, right? Manage what's happening out in the world, and finding how to go with the ebb and flow. And so that's one of the things that we talked a lot about today. So every week we do a live chat before this one. This one's once a month, but every week, an hour before this time, we have a virtual group for those who are in recovery. And we have a topic each week that we talk about, and our topic is life skill topic. You know, it's about life. It's about how to recover. It's not just about, you know, there's steps to recovery. We've done some videos on that. There are certainly those steps of getting your body in a physiological, healthy state, and then you're working. So then you can work your mind and what's happening for us psychologically. And then the deeper work, right, as we work through those stages, and that lifelong sense of healing we get is building life skills. So how am I staying connected to my inner body, and how am I managing my emotions? Because the emotional part of this is what's so critical, is managing our fears, our stresses, our worries, our anxieties, our hopes, our dreams. And that's something that is a lifelong practice. So on our chats every week, we're talking more life skills, right? Because that's what keeps us healthy and grounded. That's what prevents us from going into unhealthy behaviors, and which can activate the disease. And one of the things that we talked a lot about today is that journey, or that roller coaster of self-love, is that sometimes, you know, when you're going through this, you know, people can be really frustrated because they can want to recover, and they're working their therapy, and they're doing all that they're supposed to do, but they still have negative thoughts about themselves. And then they feel bad about themselves for thinking bad about themselves. You know, so your loved one who is having this self-critical talk isn't happy to have that, and feels bad for having that bad talk. So there's this compounding of negative emotions that happens. And it, you know, it's not something as simple as, well, don't think bad about that. You know, there's layers in there. So similar thing coming up where another woman feeling frustrated for herself, that feeling frustrated that she's having sort of a negative self-voice. So others feeling bad that they're having bad thoughts. Others feeling frustrated that they're having a negative thought. And then others feeling frustrated that their standard of recovery, they're not meeting their own standard of recovery, because they're still having days that they have negative thoughts. They're still having days that maybe they have some unhealthy behaviors happening, and they don't want that, you know, so then they're not meeting their own standard of self-love and recovery. And one of the things that we talked about today that was so needed in our conversation that I want to share with you, because I think will be really helpful in you dealing and supporting and loving your loved one who's struggling with this, is that the need to lower our standards of healing, of recovery, of health, to lowering our standards. Now, that is the antithesis of what most of us would ever say. Everyone we're all striving for the best. You want to encourage everyone to strive for the best. You want to encourage everyone to do exactly what they need to do to be healthy and be well. And it's like, it's pushing up. There is a perfectionist nature in many of us who struggle with this disease, that we struggle for this perfection, because in perfection we believe lies the feeling state that is never uncomfortable. If we're perfect, if we're doing everything perfect, then we're at this high state of happiness. We're at this high state of there's not going to be anger or sadness or guilt or shame or fear. There's going to be none of that. If we're perfect, it's all good. We're at this constant state of all good within ourselves, and we're going to get all good from everybody else. But that is unrealistic. That is not true. That's not how life works. There is no perfect. There is no all-encompassing state of being that you never feel any guilt or shame or fear or worry. And there's no state of being that the world doesn't provide moments to feel that way. So we had to have a real talk today about what standards we are setting for ourselves in our recovery, and what it means to love ourselves, what it means to have self-worth. If we think having self-worth and loving yourself means at every single day, at every single time, you're going to be thinking the most positive thoughts in the world at every single moment, and every single time, you're going to have all this energy, and you're going to want to, do it all to the best. We're setting ourselves up for failure. We're creating unrealistic standards that are about being perfect, even in our recovery. And so what that means then we have to talk about what the not so pretty part of what it means to lower standards, that it's not always beautiful, that every moment that you cannot not have moments of that there won't be self-doubt or negative thoughts. And that's what's real, is setting that standard of then how do we then deal with that. And that's what real self-love looks like. And that's not always an easy thing for anybody to want to hear, one who's trying to come to terms with it, and family and friends, because that requires in you to accept the standard of healing and having and being well could some days maybe look like they're not well, because there might be behavior showing up and really strong emotion. But it's all relative and it's all perspective. And so one of the things we talked about in our chat today, and I said to our group, was that look at where everyone was at in their recovery today. And because everyone was kind of down on themselves about feeling down. And I said, look to where you have come. There is no doubt in my mind that there's not growth. Growth is always happening. It is happening even if it's not perfect. And that drive for perfectionism can certainly also come up when we're in the healing process, and it just looks better. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're wanting to recover, but are they really, is it under mass perfectionism in just a whole nother way? So we had to take a hard look at that today, and everyone said, of course, they can see the growth that they've had, and their ability to manage their feelings, and their ability to talk about what's going on with them, and their ability to engage in behaviors less. That there was growth for every single person, and yet it still wasn't enough. The growth wasn't enough. And one of the things you can really do to help your loved one through this is help them to see the small stages of growth. Help them to understand that that's true self-love, is living through the day-to-day mess and just showing up for yourself. I shared with everyone on the chat today that my definition of self-love that I've been working on in myself to practice is self-love is showing up for myself every day, no matter what the conditions are, no matter how great I feel or how not good I feel, no matter how much I take care of myself, no matter how much I don't take care of myself. Self-love is just me showing up no matter what condition I'm in. That I'm just still going to show up for myself. I'm still going to be there for myself, even though I'm feeling not good. I'm still there for myself. I'm feeling great. I'm still there for myself. I don't leave me being there for myself based on how I feel. And that is something that you can help to mirror back to your loved one, to stand next to them, beside them as they're in this process. Because, it's more than just encouraging them. It's helping them to see, and not helping them to see like that they're wrong, but that it's a discovery, that it's something that you're seeing in yourself too. And that's the next part of this is, as a loved one, when you're supporting and loving them, those of us who are sick can sometimes, we can get defensive. We can feel like you're preaching at us and that you're not really, that you're outside of us. You're not with us. And one of the things you can do that can help someone struggling through this, help them to feel like you're with them, is to talk about how it relates to you, how you've experienced your own self-love, how you're seeing your own, how you work through your own negative self-talk and those moments that you're feeling guilty or shame. Showing your humanness in this journey. And it doesn't mean that you've had to have struggle with an eating disorder. What we all as humans can and have struggled with is a sense of worth or value of some way, shape, or form. No one is immune to having moments of fear and doubt and shame and worthiness. And all of us have opportunities to find wisdom in our own way to cope with that. And being an equal to your loved one in terms of just the human life stuff helps them on the eating disorder stuff, because that's really talking about the deeper issue. And your role, this is why you have professionals helping them, with the nutrition and the mind, so helping them with the body and the mind. And you can really help them with that human spirit, just the day-to-day sort of journey of having a relationship with yourself that supports you, that journey of self-love. And, helping them to set standards and expectations that are realistic, and help them to see those aspects of growth. I mean, I had a number of women say on the chat that a sign of their growth is by the fact that they're tuning into this chat. So a sign of your loved one's growth could be the fact that they're going to their doctor's appointments. That's huge. That's huge. That going to their doctor's appointment doesn't mean that every part of their brain and their body is healed instantly, right? But it's the steps that happen. I shared this quote with everyone today, how I heard Robin Roberts say in an interview, and she said, dream big, focus small. And we need to all keep that in mind as we think about recovery. It's a big dream and it's realistic, right? But it's not here in this, it's in the small, in the focus small. It's in the focus small. It's in the right here and the right now. And your ability to help your loved one to see that small focus, that of how they are, meeting this, fulfilling this larger dream of recovery and happiness and self-esteem and self-worth, is in that focus small, is in those baby steps. And that's a really important thing and value that you could add to your loved one on this journey. Having support that, even though you might not be peers, but that feels an aspect of peers, you displaying vulnerability is a really powerful tool and asset. And that might not be something that can happen right away. but that you can build in over time and with trust. So, just keep in mind that this journey of self-love is learning, for those in recovery, sort of learning how to navigate these highs and lows, and learning how to navigate those highs and lows. And it's a lifelong practice, and for all of us, but it doesn't mean the disease is a life practice, right? The self-love is a life practice. And so no matter where your loved one is at in their recovery, you can start to invite this practice and this conversation into your relationship with them. So we thank you for tuning in today and getting some insight. And I just want to offer to those we have on the chat today, is there any questions that you have, any thoughts or feedback, or anything you want me to address? That we'd happy to shift the conversation there now. So I'm just going to give it a minute here and let those of you who are tuning in make any questions or suggestions. We'd be happy to support you. Okay. Well, it looks like that there's no questions from our group here. So I encourage you to take a look, at any other videos we've done in the past that might meet you where you're specifically at today with your loved one. And also moving forward from this conversation is to think of your self-love journey. Think of how you can help your loved one to see the smallest growth that they're having, how you can be a witness to them and appear to them in that, and to be willing to be vulnerable and to talk about your journey with them. Thank you. We'll see you next month.